unmarried. To collect her much-anticipated inheritance, Mrs. Eleanor entered the bank. The banker, who was renowned for his conceit, laughed uncontrollably at her ragged clothing and worn-out shoes. But the banker's face paled as Eleanor opened the old, worn envelope and saw what was inside. His face went pale when he discovered the amazing secret the envelope contained, and it would alter his entire life. Welcome to USA Stories Channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. After her husband passed away, Eleanor felt lost and alone. They'd known each other for decades and had shared nearly every day of their lives. It was one particular envelope that had been on her mind for the last few weeks. She took a seat at the table in her dining room and carefully unfolded the letter. As she read that her husband had left her something in his inheritance, her eyes widened in disbelief. They had not been wealthy when Eleanor's husband was alive. They had just enough money to get by while leading a modest existence. Since they had always shared a bank account and she was aware of the amount of money in it, Eleanor assumed that after her husband went away, there wouldn't be much left for her. This abrupt letter confused Eleanor, so she made the decision to visit the bank. There was a long wait at the reception since the bank was busy. Eleanor hurried to get in line, hoping that there wouldn't be a long wait. She had outgrown her youngest legs and had stopped carrying her cane. The queue did not become shorter as the minutes passed. Curious, Eleanor peered behind the folks in front and was startled to discover why. The banker was just too engrossed on his phone. He did not look at the individuals waiting in line. People started to disperse gradually, joining other lines that were moving. Now second in line, Eleanor watched as the individual in front of her likewise turned away after failing to catch the banker's attention. Eleanor greeted him with a, "Good afternoon, sir. I have a strange question and was hoping if you could help me." Eleanor attempted something else because the banker seemed unimpressed with her presence. She hit the desk with the letter. "My spouse left me something in his will when he passed away. I need your assistance right now as I have no idea what it is." Abruptly, the banker raised his head from his phone. He looked all over Eleanor and a grin started to appear on his face. "What is it?" asking Eleanor. The banker started laughing heartily now. "I apologize, but whatever your husband left you isn't worth your time and it certainly isn't worth mine," he chuckled. "Return home." Eleanor's blood began to boil. "I can get you fired, you know." She severely looked the banker in the eye. The banker sighed. "Fine, I'll see what I can do." He took up the letter and started to read. As Eleanor read the handwritten message her husband had given her, she saw a shift in his demeanor. The banker motioned for Eleanor to wait over there, where there were couches and magazines. "I'll have to search behind me for you. It will require some time." Eleanor gave a nod. Her grin was warm as she responded, "Thank you." Although they were all waiting patiently, their turns eventually came. Through the glass wall, Eleanor saw the banker, Mr. Hadley. His hands trembled as he grasped what Eleanor knew to be her own letter right away, the paper's distinct blue tone. His shocked expression conveyed to Eleanor that her husband had left her a significant inheritance, and the banker was unsure how to manage it. Her head was full with inquiries. What might be so vital that it needed to be attended to right away? Eleanor heard whispers as she passed past the rear offices of the bank. One said, "Must be handled delicately." "Are the papers in order?" inquired another. She had the impression that she was in a maze with mysteries all around her. The manager of the bank came over, having seen her previous concern. His question was concerned, yet polite. "Can I help?" Eleanor took aback. The offer from the management was like a lifesaver. Eleanor felt a feeling of relief as she entered the manager's office, which was comfortable. She took a big breath before speaking, then sat down across from the manager. She recalled the banker's anxious demeanor and the discussion of fortunes that had taken her by surprise, but there was no mistaking the bewilderment in her voice. When she was done, he remarked, "I understand why you're worried. Let me assure you we'll get to the bottom of this." The manager's entire countenance changed when he returned. He had been friendly and open before, but now he was cautious and serious. "Mrs. Eleanor," he said, "we need to talk about something related to your husband's account." He informed her, It appears your spouse put this up a long time ago with precise guidelines for when it was to be presented to you. The manager mentioned maintaining silence and doing everything according to the book. "We have to take care of some legal stuff first," he stated. It's clear he wanted to make sure you were taken care of even after he was gone. After finishing, the manager pushed a little brass key over his desk in Eleanor's direction. "This was your husband's way of speaking to you one last time," he whispered quietly. He had kept the safety deposit box private, and the key was to it. Eleanor turned the key in the safety deposit box and heard the faint hum of the vault. She held her breath as the lock snapped open. Papers, jewelry, and old pictures were all within. Each represented a new phase in their shared existence. With great care, Eleanor unfurled the letters, treating them like delicate leaves from a bygone autumn. Consistent and dependable, her husband's letters conveyed a profound love and sincere regrets. Every letter revealed a fragment of his soul, a confession, or a recollection. She felt his presence with every syllable as he spoke secrets and stories that had been too long kept quiet. The last packet Eleanor opened included a little key with an address on it, in addition to a letter. According to her husband's message, this key went to a location where even more of his love for her was stored. Eleanor, filled with both eagerness and trepidation, readied herself to pursue the final lead, eager to discover the whole scope of the astonishing surprise her spouse had been preparing for her the entire time. She traveled down well-known streets until they lost their familiarity and the surrounding homes grew more sporadic. Eleanor found herself in a plain, unmarked home that would perhaps satisfy her husband's final desires. She saw the faces of a young family inside the peaceful home. A couple holding a kid raised their gaze, a look of astonishment on their faces at seeing an unannounced guest. They inquired, "Can we help you?" With a quivering voice, Eleanor introduced herself, the key in her palm serving as proof of her relationship to the house and its residents. The pair, who were tenants of her husband's hidden life investment, sat down with Eleanor and over teacups started to piece together the tale her husband had never shared. They told stories of a rich, nameless, and compassionate donor who happened to be Eleanor's husband. His covert assistance to this family was evidence of a side of him she had never met, a life chapter withheld until now. The fact that this other family existed because of her husband's former life was a wound that was still very much in pain. She started to realize that the man she had loved had depths and facets she had never experienced. And with that realization, she discovered that forgiveness had a place in her heart. Recognizing the importance of the house, the couple extended an offer to Eleanor. That was a part of her husband's scheme, his parting gift to her. Eleanor made her way between the rooms. Every turn revealed more about the man she had believed to be familiar. Eleanor began to feel more and more connected to the family as she spent more time with them. They were now, in a sense, a part of her husband's world as well as her own. With a hint of optimism in their gaze, the pair questioned Eleanor about her desire to be involved in their daughter's life. Eleanor viewed the offer as an opportunity to mend fences and start a new chapter in her family's history. The pair disclosed her husband's complete support in the days that followed. There were funds reserved for the future education of the child and the family. It became evident that her husband had given them a basis for their life, in addition to a house. His legacy of providing a permanent haven for his loved ones touched Eleanor with the depth of his compassion and thoughtfulness. Eleanor made the decision to create a charity after being moved by her late husband's covert compassion. It would be an act of compassion again, the kindness he had shown the family he had loved, even though he was far away. The nonprofit would aid others and share the wonderful deeds he had performed. It would serve as a living tribute to the man whose love was both profound and nuanced. Eleanor's understanding of the actual definition of wealth grew as she made additional plans for the charity. It was found in the lives that charity impacted and enhanced, not in the balance of a bank account. She considered the legacy of her late husband to be more than simply a financial amount. It was a richness of generosity that would keep nourishing and expanding the community he had subtly helped. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.